you ever told yourself something like, I'll do it tomorrow, or I can't do this because? Chances are you have. I mean, I know I definitely have. And for years, every time I wanted to change something about my life, I'd somehow managed to talk myself out of it. I felt like there was always like another excuse or another reason to wait, or just another promise that I'd start next week instead. And when I lost those 70 pounds over the course of a year, I think, thinking back on it, the big thing that really led to that journey was I just stopped listening to that voice. The one that would tell me, you can wait until tomorrow, you don't have to worry about it right now, and you can just hold off until whenever you feel like you're ready. I definitely have a lot of stories where I let overthinking stop me from doing something that I want to do. But I would say my weight loss journey is probably the best example because it taught me a lot of lessons I feel like that I still kind of carry even now because, well, for me, this journey started 6 years ago. And since then, a lot of it and the lessons I've learned have just been so relevant even now. I think if there's one thing I want people to take away from this video is just, I think a lot of the times the hardest part isn't really doing the thing. It's just deciding to start. You always have so much baggage and justifications and really just excuses for not wanting to do something. But I feel like for me, once you start doing whatever it is you've been pushing off for whatever reason, and once you get that ball rolling, things kind of start to fall into place. It's that initial barrier to entry, I feel like. And again, once you break down that wall, it's pretty easy to start from my personal experience. But yeah, going back to my whole weight loss journey, when I lost those 70 pounds in about a year, I would say the workouts weren't the hardest part, and it wasn't really changing what I ate that much either. But it was just commit to myself to stop making excuses. I mean, it was really funny how creative I was thinking back on those 6 years, and I was just very creative when it came to finding reasons not to start. You know, like I'll start on Monday, I'll wait until this weekend is over, I don't know enough about nutrition yet, I need to research this, I need to do that. And yeah, it's like, you know, they all sound really reasonable, and they make sense, but I think for me that was always the most dangerous part, where you start to justify your excuses as straight into logic, which obviously there's a lot of logic to it, but you know, your brain is just really good at protecting you from discomfort, and you would rather want to be exactly where you are right now, and then instead of just risk failing at something new. And like I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, I'm really trying to get out of that rut of just stagnation and, you know, getting into more experiences, more uncomfortable, I can't even pronounce that, new experiences, and just being more comfortable being uncomfortable. And I will say that this isn't really a guide per se on how to lose weight or really to work out, but I think for me this is more just me wanting to convey the journey that I went through, more from a mental perspective, because I feel like, again, me going through that journey really has helped me a lot in my everyday life now. But yeah, going back to the whole discomfort thing, I think, you know, instead of saying things like I'm scared, my brain would tell me things like now's not the right time, or do a little more research first, or just wait another week. But you know, I found that every time I make excuses, the problem was that, you know, that week would turn into another month, several months, and then before I know it, it's been a year, multiple years, and before you know it, you know, I'd spent more time thinking about changing my life than actually changing it. I think a big thing that kind of happened was, or I guess a really simple shift in my mindset, was just the fact that the time is going to pass anyways, regardless of whether you've made that change or not. And so I really began to think to myself, would I have rather spent that year deliberating and kind of staying in the same place, or would I have at least spent that year, you know, stumbling and learning? In the year, I still would have made some progress. But yeah, you know, to kind of tie it back to my fitness journey, just talking to my friends and things I've read online, I think a lot of people think that like motivation is what gets you into shape, but I would have to disagree there, where I think motivation is the kind of igniting spark, but afterwards when that motivation fizzles out, because it definitely will. I mean, just think of like all the New Year's resolutions that I know I've made and failed. But once that motivation runs out, it's definitely the discipline that kind of gets you there. Um, and again, the discipline didn't really appear one morning. It just came from me making my one decision over and over again, even on the days I didn't feel like it. And that decision of wanting to get up, wanting to go to the gym, or eating healthier, was really just not talking myself out of these things, not overthinking it, and just starting it. I think I definitely want to make a future video kind of talking about that more, but I kind of joke with my friends that I need to just stop overthinking it and just do it. The freaking the Shia LaBeouf me from like a decade ago. Oh my god. But yeah, I don't think it's really it's anything. It's something that you really have to overthink that much. It's just you just start it, you just do it. And I wasn't really going with the goal of trying to lose those 70 pounds every single day. I think I was just trying to be a slightly better version of myself every day, just making little decisions that over the course of a year really accumulated, and they added up. And I also think that's something I wish that more people would understand. And I mean, I honestly still kind of struggle with it now, but you shouldn't really be looking at the finish line. You just kind of have to take it slow, and you have to just take little steps. I think those small decisions don't feel important when you're making them, but after you've made them even 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, they really start to add up. And before you know it, like when you look back, you'll kind of go like, damn, I did that. I also think kind of speaking more on like my whole workout thing, and for me I think it was like, oh, I'll try to go to the gym but I'd be too shy. But again, it's really, a lot of it is all in my head, where I taught myself how these things. And when you actually go into these situations, you realize like, oh, people aren't really they're not really judgmental, they don't really care, honestly. But yeah, I also think a big thing for me was I was just afraid of failing. I was afraid that I put in all this effort and nothing would really change. I was afraid like that I would quit like I had before. So instead of risking failure, I think I just chose something that felt safer, and I just chose to wait. And waiting, like, it definitely feels good. For 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 months, 5 years. I had to tell myself like I can start tomorrow. I keep pushing it off. I just keep postponing things, and honestly, like, it was a big mental hurdle for me. That was, I think, like the last big step for me to really just start doing things. And yeah, I think that really was kind of what has helped since now, where, I mean, even starting this YouTube channel, in the past I would have taught myself out of it. I would have told myself like all these excuses and reasons, but honestly, at some point you have to stop overthinking things and just go for it. I mean, my YouTube channel or fitness or whatever aside, just applying for a job, learning a new skill, whatever the heck, talking to someone you like. I think I've convinced myself I was always waiting for the right time. But most of the time I think I was just waiting to feel comfortable. And I think if there was just one thing I really want to say was, I think the truth is you're probably never gonna feel completely ready. I mean, I definitely wasn't, not just for my fitness journey or even this channel, but for all of life. I think people are just like struggling, faking it till they make it, and everyone's kind of pretending like they know things. But if I'd waited until I felt confident to start, I would definitely still be waiting. But going back one last time to my whole gym story, I think confidence didn't come before the gym. I think going to the gym gave me confidence, that action gave me confidence, and that confidence and proactiveness, and I think that proactiveness has extended towards all of my life. And yeah, I think looking back now, as I'm in a lot better shape now, I don't think I regret all those hard workouts, giving up on certain foods, waking up early or whatever. I definitely don't regret any of it. I think my only regret is not starting sooner. I wasted all those years believing all those arguments and excuses I made to myself. But yeah, if there's just one thing I really hope people who watch this video take away from this is just, I think the voice telling you to wait has probably never made your life better. And a year is going to pass whether you start today or not. And I think the only difference that's going to come from that year is who you'll be when that time is over. Stop waiting for that perfect moment. You need to stop negotiating with yourself. And I think you just need to stop talking yourself out of becoming the person you already know you want to be. You just need to start.